Hello, everybody. If you do not know me, my name is Charles Drayton. I will be your host for the community call ERP edition this month, possibly in future months. We'll see what happens. So I am super excited to be the host for everyone. I believe this is the first call of the year, so we'll use this opportunity first to welcome anyone who is joining for the first time. If you are, feel free to raise your hands. We can give you a nice little shout out. All right. All right, couple of people raising their hands. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hey, got a nice group of people who are just starting for the first time. Okay, so just a couple of ground rules for everyone. As a reminder, all of our calls are being recorded, so just keep that in mind. The ERP does not need to be said, but feel free to be social. You'll find there's always going to be a lively chat going on the side. Feel free to react if you have questions, if you have anything you wanted to add in, comment, whatever it is, just be social. We call it a community for a reason. It's not meant to be a one-way communication. It's meant to be something that's really collaborative and interactive for everyone. And to that end, like I mentioned a second ago, feel free to use your meeting reactions, use your chat, and remember, this is your call. So because it's your call, if you do have questions, if you do have any comments you wanted to make, if you wanted to have suggestions for anything, it's something, we are the hosts for it, but this is something really owned by you in the community. All right, so a couple of topics today. I am really excited to introduce Dan Gittler. Dan Gittler is the man for Dynamics 365 Field Service. Why Dynamics 365 Field Service on ERP, you ask? Well, you might already know this, but if you don't, we have recently moved the Dynamics 365 Field Service experience into ERP. We felt it was a better fit in terms of the roadmap development, and Dan will explain a little bit more about that. But I'm really excited to have Dan. This is actually his second time presenting this. He actually presented this on the CRM call. It's one of those things where it's like, we're leaving CRM, so here's what's going on for people who are still involved in field service. And now on the ERP call, it's going to be like, we're entering ERP. So if you're not familiar with field service, here's what it's all about. And then here's a roadmap for it as well. Because I think there's going to be a lot of overlap going forward because of the unique place that field service has. I got to know Dan a little bit during MVP Summit, and he's really great. He really knows his stuff. If you have questions about field service, Dan is the man for it. Great. And I don't know whether or not we have Anna on. Is Anna on yet?
Not yet. She's joining shortly.
Okay. Got it. She'll be joining shortly. So Anna will have the honor of introducing our community guest. So without further ado, Dan, the floor is yours.
All right. Thank you so much. I'm always flattered by your intro. I appreciate it and really excited to be here. Let me go ahead and present out my deck here. And I see some chats on moving things over. I'll clarify all that in just a minute. So I'll clarify some of that. So anyways, hi, everyone. My name is Dan Gittler, and I lead the field service product. And we're going to talk about the future of field service. I'll also talk a bit about the move that Charles was mentioning. And just before we get into the future, I think it's just always key to take a step back and see what we've been up to for the last while. So I don't expect everybody to squint at this and read it, but we've had a whole bunch of innovation over the last couple of years across all of our different personas, frontline workers, optimizing operations, scheduling, integrations, etc. That's actually really led to a big moment for us. So IDC MarketScape, which is the one that really focuses and puts out a quadrant. Two years ago, we made it all the way to the top right, and then we just went through our assessment once again. And just in, so we still got to get the slides with the graphic, but we are once again, we moved up, we moved right, and we're once again named a leader in MarketScape. And I just want to thank, I know we have customers on the call, we have partners on the call. It obviously takes the product itself, but it takes a lot more than that. It takes our references, it takes understanding what the ecosystem is around it. And so I view this as a win, a collective win from all the stakeholders in field service. So a big celebration and also a thank you to everybody for helping us get there. So as we look forward, I wanted to take one step back here. I wanted to anchor in the mission for field service. Field service is really all about, our goal is digitalizing the frontline workforce with the #1 AI-driven application, manage, schedule, and perform work. The mission has not changed since I've been in this space, which is I don't even know how long, right? We're managing our technicians, we're managing our work orders, we're scheduling, making sure the right people get to the right place at the right time for installations, maintenance, service. And we have to make sure that the frontline workers and technicians are equipped with the right tools to perform that work. With Copilot, with agents in the center, this mission, we're just able to accelerate it faster and faster, and we'll talk about a bunch of this today. So as we jump into the future of field service, we really have four core priorities over the next 12 months. First one, fundamental and stay secure. That's our right to innovate. That's always key. The second one is all about core product evolution. So yes, we will talk about agents, as I'm sure everyone would expect. We also need to make sure that we're building out the core scenarios that customers need as well. So we'll spend time on there. Then we're going to talk about evolving field service with Copilot and agents. And finally, our scheduling operations agents and all of the effort that we're putting into that category. So as a first step, let's focus in on our core product evolution. So back within that framework of manage, schedule, perform, we're going to start out with manage. And this is where I'm going to take a minute and just talk about our move organizationally into ERP. So field service has always sat kind of in this in-between place from a customer perspective. It's really, really key. We're on the customer engagement side of the stack, right? A huge percentage of our customers, it starts with a case in customer service and contact center. And when you can't fix the problem, we have to escalate it into a work order. And that's where field service kicks in. That still remains as true as ever today. We've also been in the place, though, where every single field service implementation, without a single exception, is connected to some back-end ERP. It might be for some smaller, like for SMB, SMC, you're going to have different products there. But when it comes to inventory management and billing and pricing, it all has to be connected to that backbone ERP. And so from a stack perspective, nothing changes, just to be really, really clear, because I saw some comments. We are on the CE side of the house. We're on the CRM in terms of the technology. Organizationally, we've been moved into Georg's organization with finance, with supply chain, with commerce, and that's letting us really do a lot of work to bring the two worlds of ERP and field service closer together. So what we're about to talk about is how they're going to be better integrated really, really shortly. But from a pure technology stack, we're not like moving everything over to a different stack. And so with that, we are now the big reveal. We have the AI ERP suite and now field service. All right, reveal is good to go. And so what we're really...
did I spoil that for you?
No, that's okay. So before we talk about the future here, I did want to call out, we made a bunch of investments and we've already released now integrations with both Business Central natively. So we had one version of it. Now we have an even better version of it out there. We're seeing customers that are successfully taking this out of the box integration. It's continuing to grow. We have all the docs out there, and we're seeing some really good traction from those who are Business Central customers and want to add field service to the mix. We really wanted to make it so it feels like an add-on product that you can just kind of plug and play, as opposed to it being some really, really expensive long-term integration. So we've released that. We also had a version released of our integration with finance and operations, and we're about to do a lot more work on that as well. So I want to just call out that that's available today. And the next step in our journey of bringing product truth to the fact that we're now part of the AI ERP organization is we're getting closer and closer together with project operations and with finance and with F&O through that concept. So the first phase that we're doing is we're going to enable you to link any work order to a project and project operations. What that does is it accomplishes two things. Number one, you can have a single financial container, even long-term. So let's say that I install some major equipment and then I'm providing service on that for days, weeks, months, and we want all of that to roll up to a single project to understand what our profitability is, you'll be able to do it. But also, by syncing all of the transactions from field service to project operations, we're now going to leverage that integration between project operations and PMA to make sure that we have a really, really seamless and extensible integration between field service and the finance and supply chain stack. There's a bunch of core concepts and things that you can now do by connecting these two. So first of all, I create a work order. All of those estimated parts, they're already there. what that means, and that feeds back to F&O. So now I can use all of the master planning capabilities to project what inventory I'm going to need, to project how much labor I'm going to need. And as a work order is complete, all of those transactions go back, and so it properly hits my accounts. It affects inventory, so on and so forth. It also goes ahead and brings serialized inventory to field service if you're leveraging supply chain management, batch inventory. So a bunch of different scenarios that we weren't able to hit before. If you connect these two together, they're seamlessly now available in field service by our integration back to SCM and finance. So that closes out kind of an overview of phase one, but we're already working on phase two. And phase two is all about making complex service a lot easier to manage. So project operations, whole big team that focuses for many, many years on how do I manage complex projects, right? I'm going to assume for a moment that everyone has some level of context in it. And field service, we've been focusing more on there's maintenance, there's shorter jobs. And so what we're doing is we're bringing these together so that you can view these two as a single construct, which means I can plan all of my project, and I can include some of those tasks might be field tasks and other tasks might not be. So if I'm planning some major installation, overhaul, maintenance, something that can take months or years, I can now have tasks in a project that might be back office tasks. Let me go ahead and file permits, create schematics, create proposals. And those are all tasks I need to track, and there are dependencies. I also need to send a technician out for a site inspection, and then I need to get approvals from them, and then I need to do the installation. And there's a hybrid of tasks that are taking place in the field and not in the field, and there are dependencies between the two. And so we're bringing these together so you can do all of that very, very seamlessly, as if it's just one product that's connected together. If I have time, I do have a demo I can show of this, but we'll see if I have time. So this is coming really soon, and really excited about this capability. And one of the things this opens up as well is as you're leveraging finance and supply chain and project operations and field service together, we're seeing a strong trend where a lot of customers are looking to offer and create their different business models in this asset as a service model. So similar to the software industry, where it used to be, I buy a perpetual license and I used to buy an asset from a company, and then I might pay some kind of maintenance or support fee. In the technology space, we shifted to subscription service, and it's a monthly fee. It's less of an upfront capital expenditure. And there's a constant responsibility that, like we as Microsoft offering SaaS products, there's uptime, there's security, there's consistent updates. And there's a lot of our customers are shifting to this model across these different industries: heavy equipment, consumer goods, medical devices, renewable energy. They own the asset, and they're effectively leasing it out to customers. They're responsible to track, they're responsible for the uptime. They're responsible to track the different capitalization, depreciation, provide that maintenance as part of that monthly fee. And so bringing these together starts opening it up in a very, very real way. To go ahead and really hit this, there's some other capabilities that we are adding as well in order to make sure we can hit this scenario. So we're really beefing up our maintenance planning capabilities within field service. So we're bringing concepts like usage-based maintenance, so service meter units, and when something's running for 10,000 hours, it triggers a request for maintenance. We're also bringing the ability to track when assets are moving locations. So when there's some kind of portable assets and you're basically renting them out to different customers, or they're going to different sites, tracking all of that location history. So we're doing a lot to beef up our maintenance planning capabilities within field service. And all of this also occurs, I'm not sure for those who saw the announcement at Convergence, but we announced that there's a rental management offering that we are creating, which brings together all of the different capabilities across the AI ERP suite. And it allows you to do quote to contract, reservation management, and a big part of that is the service and maintenance piece whenever you're renting out a piece of equipment. And so in this case, field service is the key maintenance and service capability that's a part of this rental management offering that we're releasing. So pending time, if I can come back, I'll try and walk through a demo of it. But for the moment, I'm going to move on to the next section. But I'm really excited about all this. This makes it really real that our customers and partners can think of field service as another app within the F&O world, and can just go ahead and be an add-on that's seamless and doesn't require a whole massive integration to get them connected together. So moving next, we've talked about the manage portion of within the core product enhancements, and I'll focus just for a few minutes on a couple of things we're doing within the scheduling space. Most of this is in the scheduling operations agent section, which will come in just a little bit. But we're just always focusing on making sure that the schedule board is as usable and performant as possible. So we've released a bunch of usability enhancements. So for example, you can just see over here customizing the days in the schedule board. I can rearrange, I can share much easier. And so we've released a bunch of usability enhancements. And we also made a bunch of improvements in performance. So the first time I load the schedule board, it's 30% faster. When I'm actually searching for availability, it's 50% faster. So we're continuing to add a whole bunch of major performance improvements within the scheduling area. And the next set is we're going to continue. We have a budget of engineering capacity that we always use for the paper cuts that add up. And so we're adding additional capabilities. I know those in Europe will be very pleased. We are adding week numbers on the schedule board. It's the little things that add up. And so we're going to always make sure that we're investing heavily in the core improvements and the core usability. The next area of investment is in that perform. This is when the technician experience comes to mind. So a couple of quick call outs of what we've released recently is we have a integration with Teams and Outlook. So we know that a lot of customers, they might have other meetings with internal meetings with their managers, customers. And so they wanted to use Outlook and Teams as their core calendar, but still have the field service work orders that are synced over to that calendar. So that's something that's available. It's actually one of our fastest adopted features ever. So it's out there. Give it a go if it's something that feels relevant to you. And as always, send feedback on it. And we also made a lot of investments in just making the overall mobile app a lot more faster and a lot more reliable. So enhanced battery performance, the ability to control a little bit more on the offline sync side. And so, and the last key one is the first time I boot it up, it's 70% faster to actually just boot the app up. So where we're headed next is really two core areas of investment within the mobile application. Number one is user experience, and number two is all about performance. So what we're investing in is a series of controls within the mobile app that should get technicians away from needing to navigate it with tabs and and scrolling through a lot of different fields. So I'm going to quickly run through the controls that we're working on. So one example here is just making it so the technician can see more information at one time. So you can see on the left-hand side, there's an icon. It doesn't really help the technician when you're in a list mode in a couple of fields. It's a small things that really add up for their experience. On the right side, you can go ahead and you can see that now you can add 4 fields. You can pick them. There's labels, and this will help them so they don't have to click into it to see the next level of detail. It's much more information at a glance. The next one, and those who have been on the CRM side for a while, right? The old hyperlink problem. So over here is a good example on the left where I might have something that if I click on it, it's a hyperlink, and I might end up in a place of like setting up the priority. So we're giving customers the ability to disable the hyperlinks. And so what that'll do is it makes it so a technician doesn't accidentally click on something and get into another screen by clicking the hyperlink. So in the mobile app, you'll just be able to disable those and stop from accidentally clicking and landing on another screen. Lookups we're enhancing a lot. So on the left side, you can see the current experience, but there's also some buttons that aren't relevant to technicians, like creating a new priority or changing the view. So much more mobile friendly. Whenever I click on any lookup, if I add this control, it just pulls up. It's a slide up, and I can just select it from there. Same concept when I change statuses. When I adjust statuses, this is the most used from our backend telemetry action for technicians. So they mark it traveling, in progress, completed, on break. And so having a dedicated big touch target, which then brings up a nice drawer that lets me change the status, is another control that we're releasing very, very shortly. And the last one over here is note taking. So right over here, what you'll see on the left-hand side, it's a little bit more of a web experience shrunk down to mobile. So it's where it's a little bit tough with small touch targets for technicians. And now I'll just have a really, really large touch target to add a note, simple title, description, add any media, and I'm good to go. So this is going to be a continued effort. All of these things you saw just now, they're coming out over the next like roughly 2 months. So you'll see them trickle in and it'll greatly enhance the experience. And with that, we're always improving on the performance of the mobile application as well. So I'll let this sit here for a minute just in case people have questions over chat afterwards. But faster, more reliable, even better when you're in a low bandwidth scenario. And one of the key ones as well is we're going to be delivering an experience for makers, for those who configure the application. A lot of the times when someone's setting up the app for whether you're a partner setting up for a customer or a customer managing it on your own, you don't know what you don't know. So you might say, great, sync all of this data, and then you end up syncing a silly amount of data every time, and naturally that's going to be a little bit slow. So we're going to give some tools to let you know the condition of your configuration in the app to help configure it and make it as good a performance as possible. So with that, we will move into the agents, the evolving field service with Copilot and agents. And so they're right. I'm able to show here the items that have been like put in the release notes because due to like this isn't an NDA one. So while there are other things in the hopper, we're going to focus on what's around the corner. So I think before I go into the actual specific features over here, the way that we really think about agents is right. Just having AI isn't a strategy. It's what do we do with it? And so there's really three key things for field service. One is how do we move away from forms over data or even controls and start making AI an actual and start making Copilot the main experience for technicians. The second one is all about making workflows even easier to build and be able to deal with much more complicated scenarios using agents. And the last one is data and knowledge. And this is really important for technicians. When technicians are in the field, they need to get answers. The answers are usually spread between documents and manuals and ERP systems and service systems. And how do we bring all that together and make it that they can just get answers quickly? And so before we go into the future, what I'll just call out is that we have that Copilot sidecar available. We've recently made it so this is extensible. So within the experience we ship out of the box, you can extend it with Copilot Studio. And that makes it so if what we have out of the box and you need to do more, you can go ahead and use Copilot Studio and extend it, and you can still use the same Copilot experience within the application. We've also have summarization. The summarization here is extensible. So whether you're a technician or you're a frontline, or you're a technician, you're a dispatcher, you're a service manager, you go to the work order, you click on summarize, that'll give you that nice summary. But the key is we have an experience that lets you choose which tables are important to you, which columns are important. And so if you have any extensible schema, which most customers do have, you're able to bring that into the summarization. And as we look to the future, we are bringing in the knowledge, the ability to search across documents into the app itself. And so what you're looking over here is this scenario of I'm a technician, and I'll go ahead and say, show me how to access a turbine engine. And it'll come back and it'll show me all of the different answers. It'll give me a link to that document. And this is something key for technicians who are constantly working on different types of equipment, and they need to get answers quickly. One of the really exciting items here, and we were about to release this quite a while ago, and then we got the news internally, is that we are shifting and using the M365 Copilot experience, which was announced I believe back at Ignite. And so now we're working on bringing that into the experience of the mobile application itself. And so it'll be a seamless experience regardless of where you are or what product. We're going to be unifying around the M365 Copilot experience, and that'll come into the field service mobile app as well. And what that will also allow you to do is it'll allow you to bring any custom agents that you might have built into the mobile app. So if there's something, whether it's relevant to field service or not, if it's relevant to your technicians and you've built some agent that whatever it may do, it may just ask questions about some other system we don't even know about, you'll be able to bring those custom agents that you've built into the mobile app by bringing them in as additional agents inside of the experience in Field Service Mobile as we embed the M365 Copilot experience. Okay, a couple more that we're working on, and I'm running low on time here, but I wanted to call out. This is a little bit earlier, but we are seeking customers to partner with. Subcontractors with part-time subcontractors is an area we're really going after. So when you have a subcontractor that's working with you kind of full-time, then that's fine. You give them the mobile app, they're good to go. But a lot of the times, there are subcontractors that do a couple of jobs a year. And in that scenario, creating an Entra ID and standing them up and getting the mobile app out there, that's not something that it's too heavy a lift. And so the scenario we're going after right now is actually starting with an old way of communicating, right? Email. So when I go ahead and I assign a job to a subcontractor, they get the email sent out to them. The subcontractor is able to then simply reply that email with attachments or by typing in natural language, I did XYZ. And then once they send that email back and it goes through, we process that email and we bring it in, and then we give the manager on the field service side, we automatically map that data to the appropriate fields, give them the ability to approve it. And that whole flow of managing subcontractors can be done simply over email without doing all that copy pasting. And so we are looking for customers to partner with here. And if you are interested, or if you're a partner and you have a customer, please do let me know. And so we have the ability to automatically schedule today. We have our product resource scheduling optimization. What we're doing here is we're making it helping customers deal with the change management of moving from manual scheduling to automated scheduling. The technology's there. Some companies have done it. Most customers want it, but going from manual all the way over to automated is hard. And so what we're investing in is bringing that user experience to the dispatcher, allowing them to ask for help from the agent, bringing that back as a suggestion that they're in control over yes or no, do I want to go ahead and accept it? And then get them more and more comfortable with the idea of interacting with automated scheduling. And so we have a whole roadmap here that right now we're optimizing one technician. Very, very shortly, you'll be able to do a whole bunch. Then you'll be able to do it automated. So this is another big area of investment. And so with that, I will close with a very often the field service space, the technicians are like, leave me alone. I don't want to deal with technology. Let me turn my wrench. This is actually the first time that I'm seeing them come and say, please give me this. Like, let me stop interacting with the app in the current way. Let me just speak to it and update it. Can I just ask questions and get the answers from the manuals? So of all the spaces, I'm really excited to be here because there's a lot of optimism of what agents can do within the field service space. And so with that, I will see if there's questions in the chat, but thank you so much. I'm really excited to be on the ERP side of the house here. And apologize for going a couple minutes over. And Charles, I'll pass it back to you.
Excellent. Thank you, Dan, and welcome to the ERP family. Normally, we would spend a few minutes answering questions, but I know because we're a little pressed for time and we want to move on to the community speaker. Dan, I'd ask you if there are any questions that are going to be answered to just go to the chat. If you have any questions for Dan, put that in the chat as well. But other than that, we will move on. So thank you again, Dan, as someone who used to do field service when I was part of the Microsoft Technology Center. Really exciting to see all the updates and all the cool things that you guys are doing. So thanks again, Dan. Anna, you on?
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
We can.
Good. I'm sorry, I'm in the train, so you can hear the background noise. That's why.
Yeah, that actually sounds great.
So, hi, everyone. Thank you for being here. I really like this session. I had no idea. So now it builds some bridges with friends that are doing the service. So let's see. Okay, so we're going to welcome our community speaker now. So I've seen him that he has his camera on. So he's an MVP. He's a principal architect, and he's working with things like back integrations, e-invoicing, and all the regulatory reporting in Dynamics365 Finance. So of course, he's an active contributor of the community. That's why he's here. So without further ado, Alireza, do you mind taking over, please?
Yes, thank you, Anna, for
Awesome.
great introduction. I'm just sharing my screen so you can just verify that you can see my screen.
Yep, looks good. Sound good.
Perfect. I don't guarantee I can't talk as fast as Dan, but I will do my best. Yes, perfect. So basically today we are going to look how bank integration works in the Microsoft Dynamics Finance and Operation, and what's required to establish a complete and reliable payment flow between the ERP system, which is Dynamics 365 Finance and Operation, and the bank. I have tried to structure this session to give you both conceptual understanding and practical configuration insights in a case that you're a decision maker, end user, or trying to just finding out how you can just unlocking standard functions in finance and operations, because basically my approach is that how we can unlock standard functions, which is hidden for the end users. And bank integration classifies as one of the critical process in the end-to-end processes in finance in the ERP systems. And I focus on unlocking this function. I know that most of the users or communities know about the process, but I will try to just give insights what is existed in the standards, or it just give better understanding if they want to customize, if they want to choose a ISV, or if they want to go through the standard process that Microsoft has designed. So from the start and to the end. So Anna has introduced me, so I just covered the deck with a short introduction that I'm Microsoft MVP in ERP and the principal architect in a company named Knowit. So also, I do recommend, if you're just watching this video afterward on the YouTube, to follow me on the LinkedIn, also on the GitHub, and also my webpage on the dynfotech.com. So I try to just go through in detail on the unlocking standard functions in finance and operations. So basically, today our mission is to start with the end-to-end payment flow and to just talk about how we can unlock or just enable the bank integration in standard finance and operations. So this includes how payments are initiated in finance and operation, how they are processed, exported as files, transferred to the bank, and eventually reconciled back into the system. And understanding this full life cycle is important because bank integration is not just the exporting of files. It's about making sure that the entire chain from initiation to reconciliation work as intended. Basically, I start with the payment end-to-end scenarios, which is completely familiar with the ERP family here, so that we know that the Microsoft has defined the scenarios, end-to-end processes in ERP solutions. And there are three scenarios here, which is applicable to the payment process. The first one is the source to pay, which is in a source to pay scenario. The payment process begins with the supplier onboarding, purchase order execution, and followed by the received goods and invoicing matching. And once it has been validated and also approved, so the finance operation generate the payment proposal and we execute the payment, and then it will process through the bank to complete the payment process. The next scenario here is the or end-to-end process, which is the order to cash. So in an order to cash scenario, the payment lifecycle starts with the customer master data from after the sales order or the invoice has been created, and the invoice issuance has been happened. So customers settle the invoices through the supported payment channel, such as direct bank transfer, card payments, or direct debits. And once the payment has been processed, the finance and operation can import the remittance file from the bank statement or through the direct file. So it will update the account receivable and also the general ledger. The last part here in our portfolios, which is end-to-end process, is record to report, which is the payment are reflected through the integrated posting across sub-ledgers and the general ledger also. So we just call it bank reconciliation. I will go through it in the detail in the next slides. So in order to have a better understanding that how the payment file concepts that through each of these end-to-end processes happen, so we need to go through the standard format that has been designed to work with. It is one of the regulatory alignment. So either it is aligned by the country-specific requirement or the bank. So basically, in the most of the cases, it comes from the bank. So the bank that your company working with, so they have some standards they're working with, and it's also coming from the country-specific requirements. Mostly in the Europe. So we are working with the ISO 222, and it's also getting also broadly used by the other countries. So what is this process has been assigned? So there have some formats. This format has been assigned for creating the file sent to the bank, or import the file from the bank to as a payment status report to direct debit, or to import it as a settlement return or bank statement. So in order to have better understanding on this slide, so I have just provide some technical names and the direction that it has. So it means from or in Dynamics, and also the type. So basically ISO format is XML format, and it's in whole it has contains all of the information that you need to contact the bank. So different banks and market use different file standards here. So here we focus on the ISO because it's one of the most used formats here. So the goal is to understand how Dynamics interact with this standard and how file structures map to business data such as payment, account, references, and also remittance information. So to better have to have a better understanding here, so I just have created a short a flow here. So in the ERP solutions, finance and operation, business central, you name it. So once the once the file has been generated, so it's sent to the bank. So once the file is getting generated, so we need to create a proposal, then the file validated, and if the file has been okay, so it will send to the bank. After the bank has processed the file, so we just send the receipt return or the just a report to just check it out the file, and based on this, so they just process the payment. Once the payment has been done, so we just send us the count 054. And if it's a debit one, so it's related to a vendor transaction, and it's a credit, so it is based on the customer payments. And at last, they just send it as the bank statement. In some scenarios, so once we send the file to the bank, so the bank will just send the bank statement with a reference from the payments. So to minimize the number of the files that is imported into the ERP solution. So it paves the way of receiving several files, and just concentrating in just one file. So we just call it CAMT 053 extended. But basically in finance and operation part today, so all of these files is accepted and can be imported. So, but basically, if we want to come back, okay, this format exists, but how we can just initiate and start this format? So what is the platform that we can import this configuration? So basically, I just come back to the globalization regulatory, which is the electronic Dynamics 365, let us say, enables organization to import electronic reporting configuration from datawares, and to providing access to the continuously updated templates, localization content, regulatory requirement, for example, tax declaration, bank integration, invoicing, and also reporting of the ledger transactions in a specific format. So all of these local requirements or country specific, that is based on the requirements that tax administration or that is must to have in a country, and that an ERP vendor as Microsoft Dynamics 365 needs to deliver per today is delivered via the electronic reporting framework. And in this part, since like bank integration is one of the regulatory report, so in the Dataverse repositories, you can import a specific configuration based on the requirements from the bank. So I have just in the next slide, so share the screen that you can go through the Dataverse. So for example, import the ISO 20022 formats that you need to use in finance and operations. So basically, as a short recap until now, so we have we need to initiate the bank integration, and we need to find out how in standard can we take that advantage of it. And the first step is through the importing the configurations that needs to use in finance and operations. So basically, before we start the bank setup and initiating this setup in finance and operation, we need to have a better understanding about the bank account and fundamentals here. Accurate bank account information is critical for both for domestic and foreign payments. For domestic transfer, so we know that the bank account number needs to be filled out correctly. But in this deck, so I have just provided the informations that there are some informations that we know that is critical to be accurate. So basically, when it comes to the bank account informations, you need to take it into consideration which countries and what is the requirement that you have. For example, in Norway, so bank account information and IBAN, so you can just use it as identificator when you want to interoperate with the bank. But in some countries, they just classify the domestic and the foreign payments. So the domestic, for example, when it comes to the Denmark, you need to have the FI code, or we just call it FIC codes, or when it comes to the UK, you need to have a sort code, and the same also in the Sweden. So you need to have the routing number or the specifications that you can use as a domestic payment. And when it comes to the foreign, so we just know it, so we need to use the international banking account number, we just call it IBAN and SWIFT. So, but what is important here, based on the country-specific bank requirements, so we need to find it out what is the must-fill informations for the bank account in finance and operation, from the cash and bank management, which is the legal entity bank account, to the vendor bank account, and also in somehow a customer bank account. So this information needs to fill out correctly based on these requirements. So if you have legal entities in Norway, so all of your vendors, which is domestic, needs to have the bank account number, and the same also when it comes to the foreign, so you need to have the IBAN and SWIFT. So in order to have better understanding, so I have just to classify these two in domestic and foreign. So you need to just verify this requirement on filling out the bank account information. So take it into the considerations. So this is the prerequisite for the bank payment setup. So basically, when it comes to the payment setup in finance and operations, so if we just take it into consideration, the remittance process. So from the vendor card, we need to have an address, primary address. Why? Because we want to classify, is it from the address, we just classify it, or as it is domestic or foreign, because it will check or match or just compare it with the legal entity address. If it's different, so we just differentiate it and find it as a foreign payments. And also method of payments that you want to proceed, is it electronic one, is it a manual one, and also to the bank account that we already has covered about the information that needs to be accurate, and also the currency and the name or pay name that you want to proceed. From the legal entity side in the cash and bank management, so we need to fill out all of the information that requires from the banks. So from accept the bank information, there are some signer IDs, there are some agreement IDs that you need to have with the bank. So you need to fill it out in finance and operation, either as the clearance code or the company ID. So in some countries, for example, in Norway, we need to have a division for some bank as a requirement, or in UK, you need to have the sort code to fill it out. And also in other countries, you may not need the routing number or a specific ID as we just call it signer ID or agreement ID that you need to have with the bank. One of the setup that is recommended, and also you need to check that if the bank account that you have created has been allowed to receive the transaction or process the transaction in other currency that it has been assigned to. So, and also to the bank statements, if you are processing the importing the advanced one, so imported directly from the SFTP from the bank, so you can activate it. And also on the setup part, there are some setups that need to be assigned. I do recommend to just check my blog, so I already have just go through all of these steps with the screenshots that you need about the data that you need to fill out, and also the GitHub project. So I already have gone through the record, for example, return format error codes, and also all of the informations that you need to have for the ISO format. So when it comes to the payment flow, so if we want to start with the payment process in finance and operation, basically it starts with the pane 01 or 001. We just call it customer initiate payment file. So this is the file that sends to the bank, and afterward, when the file gets generated, so the status from the payment will be changed from the none to the send. And also afterward, the bank will process the file and respond with the pane 002. We just call it status and acknowledgement, but basically it's just something like a syntax check. So the banks will check the file and just say, okay, it's validated. I can process it as payment. It is just a receipt that the bank will send to just let us know that they can process the file or for the payment. So this is completely important to process this step if you want to make sure that the payment has been added to the queue for the payment. And the last part, once the invoice has been paid, so the bank will send you the CAN 0054, or sometimes they just send you the bank statement as a receipt, as a settlement for the paid invoice. So in order to have a better understanding here, so I just classify it into the out and in. So basically we start with the out now, which is a credit transfer as a pane 001. And the direct debit is basically for some countries that is accepted by the bank and as a special requirement, like Germany. So, but when it comes to the credit debit, is for the vendor, direct debit for the customer. So on the credit transfer initiations, so I just have created some notes here that what is the consequence of the multiple export consequences. So one of the most critical one, that if you generate the same credit transfer file, it may create a double payment if the bank doesn't have agreed on some duplication check. So make sure that before you generate the file, so you have already added the correct or let us say accurate workflows to make sure that you avoid the payment, double payment. So basically, in order to have a better understanding, so I have created a scenario. Some days ago, we had some travel expense. So we have we ate pizza. So now we get the invoice from our vendor, and we want to pay it. So if you see in the scenario, so first of all, I just check it out by today, all of the invoices that has been due, so I need to be paid. So then I will go through to just activate the delete negative payment. So it means that I want just to have the invoices, not the credit notes. and I just choose the currency that I want to pay. And this is basically based on my privileged and workflows that I'm accepted to process. So I just go through the Domino's Pizza invoice that I have been created. So, and it needs to be paid. So I just first put it in the generate the proposal. Once it has been created, the proposal, as you see, the payment status is set to the none. So once I generate the payment, then I choose the method of payment that is associated with the ISO configuration. I just choose a unique file name, choose a bank account that I want to proceed with, and then I go to the next step. The bank account that I have associated here so needs my approver ID, or we just call it the personal identification number. So in the next slide, in the next pop-up message, so it will automatically run the configuration from the report. So I just choose the structure because it's a domestic and the ref to the bank requirement, it needs to be structured. So it means it needs to have the payment ID. And then on the person ID, I just fill out the dummy person ID that needs to be processed because my user has been approved with the bank, so I can just process the payment. So I initiate the payment file, and then the payment file gets generated. And if you see here, once the payment file gets generated, so I can just send it to the loop throughout the integration to be processed. So it will show the file, how it's structured, and also the information that we have from the remittance there. So, and also the payment ID from the invoice that we sent to the bank. And from the payment inflow, so I send the file to the bank has me processed the file. So afterward, bank will send me the payment receipt. So, and I also have just mentioned about the multiple import consequences. So in the case that you import it several times, it just changed the status. So, but when it comes to the settlement for the vendor side, so import not possible if the reference record do not exist. So it is there is a matching with the reference from the bank, and if it doesn't exist in the Dynamics, it doesn't have any effect for the double settlement in finance and operations. The most critical one is the customer payment file, the settlement file that we received from the bank. Since we generate the file directly by ourselves, there is possibility that we import the payment file or settlement file as far as we want. So you can just create a double payment, but the first time is match the invoices, but the second time it will go through the unknown account. But you need to make it sure that it hasn't been imported previously. And the last part, which is a bank statement. In the bank statement, there is a duplicate check. So you cannot import the same statement several times. So you will get an error message, or either you cannot import it or it is already settled. So basically, you can just think about it that either to use the bank statement as the vendor payment journal to update or not. So this is the approach. But in the next slide, so as you see, I have already sent the file to the bank. So I received the file from the bank by going to the payment transfer, choosing the same method of payment. And after I have chosen the method of payment, since the file is the pane 002, it's just the acknowledgement report. So I just import the file that I received from the bank. And normally these files comes 2 minutes or 1 minute after you send the pane 001 to the bank, because just validate the syntax and just send you the receipt. Oh, the file is okay, so we can just process it. And if you see, after I just imported the file, the transaction changed the status to the receipt. So if I go to the next part, so now in this part, the payment has been processed by the bank. And most common, if it's not an urgent payment, so the payment will be take some days to be processed. In this case, so I have this was an urgent payment, so I received the file from the bank, the payment file. So I just choose to be flow to the another journal. I chose the file, give it a reasonable name, settle the transactions, and also delete the payment, the previous journal that has already been created. And in a case that you have a foreign payment, so do recommend to import the exchange rate, from the file, not from the system. So as soon as it has been imported, so the file has been changed from the received to approved, and then you can just proceed to post the journal. So this is the process of the flow from the pane 01, pane 002, and camp 0D. If we want to do the same process, because since I received the file from the vendor transaction, so I can receive the same also for the customer. So I go through the next part. So that I receive the settlement file from the customer, from the bank. So I just first create the journal by myself. So give it a reasonable name for the others to find it out that I'm holding with importing. So in this case, I don't create a proposal because I have received the payment from the customer. So I just choose the method of payment that is associated with the ISO format. And then here, I just activate the settled transaction, import the incorrect records. Why? Because sometimes some of the references that the customer has paid the invoices does not exist in the Dynamics. So it's critical that we activate the import incorrect records. So this will be imported in Dynamics. So you can just align it with the amount that you have in the file that's aligned with the journal amount, total amount. So it is completely recommended to do that. So I just import the file now. So, and as you see, it will check from the file through the customer open transactions. And in this case, they just find all of the invoices. And if you see here, they just check it out. Okay, there is some warning here that you must read it. And they say for the payment reference, so there is the amount settled is different. It's basically based on, it's a multiple payment. So we just classify it, okay, the amount has been changed. So we just check it out, the warning. So the warning is accepted because it has some information of the bulk payment. And what I do recommend on the payment part tab, just check it out the notes to have a better understanding over the debtor information. And as the last part, payment reference. And if you see the payment status has been changed to received. Here, you need to just check it out, the total amount of the journal to just make it sure that is aligned with the file and customer transaction. As a last part, so we have the file, we know how the file can be generated, we know how we can import the file. So the only things is that how we can interoperate. What is the file exchange and integration scenarios in finance and operations? So basically, most of the bank use the secure transfer approaches, which is the SFTP. So through the private key that they create, so you need to interoperate with SFTP. So for receiving and sending the file. In the standard scenario, so you can use your SharePoint as the receiver or as the file type to send and receive the file in finance and operations. And afterwards, through the Power Platform cloud flows, so you can just send the file and receive and get the file from the SFTP. So this is one of the most used scenarios, basically, for customers. So that's had one company or just few company in the solutions. When it comes to several companies, so in the finance and operation, I mean the legal entities, so it is also recommended also to have the direct customization with the SFTP connectors or file storage over the usage of the traceability of imported files. So it gave a better traceability. So we can say what has been sent, what hasn't been sent, what is the error message that you got. So, but per today, so there is a standard routine for that through the SharePoint, and you can use the Power Platform to send the file to the bank. So, and also there is the file storage in the electronic reporting state file. So you can just check it out, the file that has been transmitted to the SharePoint. So you can just find it out. But when it comes to the bigger or complex scenario, so you can just evaluate to customize SFTP or a connector in finance and operation. But take it into consideration, the whole process, if you see the end-to-end process. So it is also addressed in finance and operation as a standard. So either you want to create the customization or use. So this is just the last part. So as a last connector, so you can just think about. So I think I have have talked a little bit more than I should, but thank you everyone for just joining this community call, and hope that you have get insight about the bank integration and in finance and operation. Thank you.
Thank you so much for taking part and for sharing everything. It's been longer today than normal, but that means that we had a lot of knowledge and a lot of new things that I had no idea about. So I think that, Dwayne, I don't know what you think, but we can park the event for maybe next time.
Yeah. Yep, we'll
Okay,
share.
cool.
We have some events we normally share at the end of the call. We will share those out individually on the LinkedIn channel. And don't forget, the community call here will be shared next Thursday. So the entire call and both sessions will be shared out on our LinkedIn channel on YouTube next Thursday, and both individual sessions will be shared out on their own shortly after that. So, Anna, any last words for everyone before we jump off and make sure we see everybody next month?
Yeah, last words, please. Speakers, share your blogs or your whatever people can use to reach out, so we can also promote and give you some visibility for your time. And so yeah, that's everything. It's always a pleasure working with you, Dwayne, with Charles, and with the rest of the team. And special thanks to Andre and Lasse that are somewhere there annoying the rest of the people.
Yes. Thank you, everyone. And Alireza, thank you so much for your session. Fantastic. I cannot wait to get the deck so we can share it out with everybody. People are already asking for it in the chat. So we can't wait to share that out. Thank you, buddy. Everybody, we'll see you next month. Have a great rest of the week and a great rest of the month. And thanks for being part of the best community out there. Have a great week.
Thank you.